Hi, my name is Chane Carter, and I am a financial educator and the founder of Empower Financial Planning. I want to help people figure out what they make, what they spend, and what they owe so that you can become very intentional about your priorities and your plans. So it's the new year, and we're all trying to do new things, trying to get our money right, trying to get our weight right, trying to start new habits that are better for us. And you may be hearing things from different people specifically about money and what you're supposed to do with it and how you're supposed to handle it. I wanted to tell you that I don't believe that there are any absolutes in how you should handle money. Now, there are some things that are smarter decisions than others. There are some things that are financially more sound than others. But that doesn't mean that doing things differently with your money is wrong. So if you run across someone who tells you that you should do something absolutely, you absolutely should do it, and you should absolutely do it in the order that they say, you should be skeptical. You should be thinking about that in a way that considers your goals, your priorities, your situation, and what you're trying to accomplish, because everything absolute isn't for you. Now, let's take paying off debt for an example. Absolutely, paying off debt is a good thing. You should pay off your debt. Now, how do you do it? When do you do it? What do you pay first? There are a million opinions about how you should handle your debt, but that doesn't mean that they are right for you. For example, some people say you should pay off your smallest debt first. You should pay minimum payments on everything else and pay off your smallest debt, and then go to the next one and make minimum payments on everything else and then pay the next one. That's called the Snowball Method. Some people say you should make minimum payments on all your debt except for the one that has the highest interest rate. That's called the avalanche method. You pay the one off with the highest interest rate first, then you go to the next one, then you go to the next one. Those are two separate opinions about how you should do debt. Mathematically, financially, one of them makes sense. But if you're not going to be able to stick to one, or one is easier for you to manage than the other, then that's probably the one you should stick to. Everyone's going to have an opinion about what should be paid off when, but everyone will have an opinion about how you should pay things off and when you should pay things off. But overall, paying off debt is the goal. So the thing that you will do and stick to is probably the best thing. That's what I mean about absolute things. There's nothing absolutely right if you're not going to stick to it. There's nothing absolutely right if you're not going to be able to commit to it. So some of the things that are financially right or mathematically right, for example, in this example, the avalanche method is mathematically correct. You would pay off the interest rate of the highest one first, and that would mathematically make more sense. You would pay less interest in that way. But that might not be the method that's going to help you get to your goal. So all of that to say, what do I believe about money? I'm going to give you some general thoughts on money. The first thing I think about money is that there are levels to this. I say this all the time. There are levels to this. Having an emergency fund, that's one level. Having 6 months of an emergency fund compared to 1 month of an emergency. There are levels to this. I say this all the time because I think it's really important for us to focus on the levels. Having an emergency fund is one level. Paying all your bills off on time, another level. Making sure that you're making more than the maximum, making sure that you're making more than the minimum payment on your debt, that's another level. Making sure that you're investing, that's a different level. In real estate or in stock market or in other businesses, that's another level. There are levels, right? But I don't want us to think of these levels as stair steps. Like once you get to one level, I don't want us to think about these in terms of stair steps. Like you start on one level and you finish it and you go to the next one. I know that's how a lot of people think about money and dealing with it, but that's not how I think about it. I think about it in terms of, well, you guys remember the jungle gyms we had in elementary school, the horizontal ones where you would stand in line, wait your turn, get on the thing, hold onto it, and then swing for a minute, and then try to go to the next one, and swing for a minute, try to go to the next one. For a minute, you might be in between two, just trying to hang on. Sometimes you will fall. That's the levels I'm talking about, right? Because For some of us, paying all our bills on time is the best we've got right now. Making sure everything's paid on time, making sure we're not making interest payments on things, late fees, making sure that's not happening is the best that we have. And we should hang on to that. That's a level that's important. It's an important thing. But you may be able to do that while stacking your emergency fund. You might be a little teetering in between that, but you should be trying to do both things. You should have an emergency fund. You should also be paying your bills on time. So you might be in between levels, right? On top of that, maybe you're able to have an emergency fund, but it's little, it's small, but you want to start investing. I think you can do that. I think you can have a small emergency fund that's not the recommended 3 to 6 months and still start investing. I don't think these levels are things that you have to complete one thing at a time, but you do have to be intentional about making sure that you're staying on your level, which is another thing I'm pretty passionate about, is staying on your level. Not looking at the person that's able to rush past. He's swinging from rung to rung, grabbing on the bars, 90 miles per hour, and you're looking at him, you're way back here just trying to hang on. We may look at people who look like they are millionaires, doing well in investments, whatever the case may be. They look like they're flying past you on the jungle gyms. You never saw them when they were hanging back on the first rung. You never saw them fall. You never saw how many times they had to get back in line and try again. You never saw that. You never saw how long it took them to get where they were going. So I want us to be real intentional about focusing on our rungs, on our bars, about what we're trying to get to. Because if you look at all the things that are happening to your left, to your right, the guys in front of you, the guys standing in line behind you, you get distracted. Stay on your level, focus on your level, and then move to the next. Or do them both at the same time if you can. All right, so that's kind of my first thing. My second thought on finances is that it is impossible to successfully manage your finances without a system. You need to know what you make, what you spend, and what you owe so that you can be clear on your priorities. If you have money slipping between your fingers and you're not sure where it's happening, it's because you don't have a system. You're not watching it. You're not seeing it. It's not something that you're intentional about keeping your eye on. So I strongly feel like this is one of my, you have to do this, that you have to have a method of keeping up with your finances. Your method might not be my method. I need an app. I use the Mint app. I recommend the Mint app. For me, it works. It allows me to keep track of what I'm spending, where it's going, what buckets it's going into. That works for me. You may be a paper and pencil type of person. That's okay, as long as you're looking at the paper and the pencil on a regular basis. That's the thing. You have to keep track of it. And if you're not, then the next level, whatever the next level is, buying a house, investing more, starting a business, the next level for you won't ever see the next level because you can't see what you're doing now. It's imperative, like super crucial, that you have a system to manage your finances, whatever that is for you. Another thing I feel super strongly about is automating finances. And what I mean when I say automating is the things that you have determined are your priorities, the things that you have planned should not be something that you have to think about. Your money should be moving to those priorities, to those plans without you having to click a button. It should be automatic. Whatever investments you're making, whatever savings you're trying to have, whatever you're doing that's supposed to be intentional should also be automatic. So I have a whole video on this on YouTube, and I don't want to go into it too much right now, but that's one of my strongly held beliefs, is that your intentional things need to also be automatic. So here's my last point about how to manage your finances. You're not always going to make the smart decision. You're not always going to make the financial decision that makes the most sense, and that's okay, as long as you know why you made that decision, which goes to my overarching idea about finances. You have to face them. You have to know what you're making, what you're spending, and what you're owing in order to do anything about them. And you have to have a system to be able to see what you're doing. And once you see what you're doing, if you're okay with it, then it's okay. Once you see what you're spending and who you owe and what you're investing or what you're not investing, If you're okay with the decisions you're making, then it's okay. It may not lead to where you want it to lead, but you need to know it. You have to face it for yourself and understand it. Once you've done that, if you've made the decision that it's okay, then it's okay. Now, let me give you an example. I am cheap. I am cheap. There are reasons for me being cheap, but let's just leave it at I'm cheap. And I recently bought a handbag. I am not a handbag girl, but there is a bag that I wanted that I bought. It caused me to have some type of unreal reaction. I was stressed about buying this bag. And the reason I was stressed about buying this bag is because under no circumstances is a handbag a good investment. It's not a good investment. It's not an appreciating asset. It's not particularly valuable when it comes to long-term priorities. But I wanted it. And so I bought it. It's not a brilliant financial move, but I know where the money came from. I know what it won't be doing. I know where the money won't be saved, won't be invested. I know what I've done. And I decided I was okay with it. And that's pretty much all I want for you all, is to know where your money's going, to know whether or not you're using it to achieve your financial goals. And if you're not, I want you to be okay with it. Face it. Be all right with the choices that you're making. But face it and be okay with it. That's all I'm asking. So, I hope that this was helpful. I hope you got some value from this. If so, please click like and hit subscribe and do all that YouTube stuff. Also, if you haven't joined the Empower Financial Facebook group, please do that. That is where I interact with you all, and that's where you can ask me questions and talk to me, and I dig that. I hope to see you in the Empower Financial group, and I hope to chat with you soon. Y'all take care.